Hello everyone. Yes, we are back in the Premier League against Wolves, but I am certainly still quite happy and riding on the buzz from our magical, historic, glorious win against Lyon 5-4 as we know. But it was the way we came from behind. I cannot, stop watching the highlights. I can't stop talking about it. I can't stop thinking about how we managed to come back and we basically were dead and buried. Amorim said after the game, for his pre-match press conference to Wolves that the Premier League is basically not the focus. We have to be focused on the Europa League. We are going to make risks in the Premier League. He said that he will probably play most of the youngsters, and the fans need to understand that. I, for one, certainly do understand the reason why he's playing the youngsters. I've stressed it time and time again in my videos that the Europa League, winning it, is the only focus and the only thing that matters this season because of its positive consequences if we find ourselves winning the Europa League this season. I don't have to repeat those particular positives that will come from winning the Europa League. Wolves in itself are a team that are doing well. They probably will not be getting relegated after their good form. They do have quality players. Let's be real. The likes of Ryan Aït-Nouri, Strand Larsen, who has started scoring recently quite a lot for them. Matheus Cunha, who of course is linked to us and could potentially be a Manchester United player next season, but we'll obviously talk about that more when the transfer window does open. And we know they play a similar system to Ruben Amorim, the 3-4-3, 3-4-2-1. And even though they won us in the first round, that was a bit of a disappointing performance, a devastating loss to take. But it was always obvious we were going to lose against teams that are fitter, much more athletic, more physically stronger than us. And certainly with Amorim wanting to play the youngsters, to keep more of the first team players fit and ready for the Europa League games, certainly you could be looking at another loss against Wolves, and that in itself should not be a shame. It's just that, of course, we as Man United fans don't want to lose games. But again, based on how we won against Lyon, that should have fueled the team for the remaining games to the end of the season, leading up to potentially the Europa League final. Because if we could score 3 goals in 5 minutes when we basically were dead and buried, certainly that energy, that determination, that character, that fighting spirit must be applied in the Premier League games. That basically has been a problem for us all season. How we struggle against the stronger, teams in the Premier League, and we certainly don't and haven't shown a good account of ourselves in the Premier League this season. But there's nothing to play for. The highest we can probably go is 12th, if I'm doing the mathematics correctly. And that in itself is a disgrace. The Europa League is our only source of, shall I say, one, happiness, and two, of course, the only source that we can find going into the Champions League, which is very, if not vitally important for Man United and where Ruben Amorim can potentially take the team if we do end up qualifying for the Champions League by winning the Europa League. We know Wolves are probably going to try and spoil the party, try and prey on the youngsters if Amorim does play the players. Harry MS has done well in recent games, so I could potentially see him starting this game. Of course, giving Dorgu a rest. I do think maybe Aiden Heaven could come in, into the back three. He has, of course, been back since his injury, but hasn't played. So, again, an opportunity, as Amorim said, to play the youngsters. Hoyland being our only striker, out and out striker in the Europa League, might start this game against Wolves, but I think he probably would get taken off whether he scores or not. Doesn't matter whether he has a good performance or not. I think Chido will be getting more minutes. Amorim was asked in his press conference if Chido will be getting more minutes considering, the situation with Hoyland being our only striker. He did say yes, he does think that Chido will be getting more minutes. You could rest even Bruno with the likes of Jack Morehouse, Jack Fletcher also being both number 10s that can, come in, not start against the Bulls, but certainly, get their senior Man United debuts, and then of course showing that they can be part of the first team, which I think that they most definitely can. You could bring in a Jaden Camerson to play right wing back, maybe bring him on in the second half, give the low a bit of a rest because again, he potentially might start this game. If he doesn't, it would probably be a surprise because since last season, the low has been starting and playing every single game from minute one to the last since last season to the game against Lyon. He definitely does deserve a rest, surely. His performances have shown that he needs a rest, but also he does need a rest in order to be much better that we know he can be for the Europa League games coming up against Athletic Bilbao. I, for one, am certainly, always wanting Man United to win. That's obvious. But let's be real. The Premier League is not important. If we lose to Wolves, fine, we will talk about it. We'll discuss where we went wrong, etc. But we need to be backing the team, especially if they are going to be youngsters playing in this game and, the following Premier League games. We must be backing those boys, whether they're good enough for Man United for the future or not. But while they are going to be part of the team from now to the end of the season, especially in the Premier League, like Amorim said, we certainly need to find ourselves supporting these young players because with us giving them support, they can put their best foot forward and perform for Manchester United, and who knows, most likely end up having us win against Wolves, or winning against Bournemouth, etc., or Chelsea and Aston Villa to come. Maybe these things can happen. Maybe the youngsters end up surprising us, and they maybe put in a difficult decision for Amorim because maybe some of them want to be part of the team playing in the semi-finals, or even the final of the Europa League, which I do believe we can get to. I do think that we are capable of, beating Athletic Bilbao. So we'll definitely talk about that when that time does come. But let's be excited for the Premier League. It's another Man United game coming up, and we are playing at Old Trafford, especially after that amazing atmosphere and the night that we had on Thursday against Lyon. That must carry over into this game against Wolves and certainly give the team the energy to have a good performance and get a win again in front of a booming Old Trafford crowd. Thank you for joining me. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comment section who you think Amorim might be giving a chance in terms of the academy youngsters. Have a wonderful weekend. Till we see each other again soon in the next one. Bye bye. Thanks for watching. If you want more content on Manchester United, like, share and subscribe.